You are now watching the Ball and Beats podcast.
Hey Spencer,
What's up?
you know what it is around these parts now?
What's that?
It is officially basketball season here at the Ball and Beats podcast. Welcome back here to another episode of the Ball and Beats podcast. It is me and Spencer here today, but we might have a special guest here if he wants to show his face. Let's see if it'll work, shall we? Oh my goodness. There's the man, the
There we
myth,
go.
the legend, Kevin O'Corn.
Hey guys, how you doing?
In the control room has decided to make an appearance on the Ball and Beats podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys talk about baseball, but I will be coming back to.
We
help
cannot
with
hear
the,
your audio outside here in the studio that well. However, well, that's all right. We'll make sure that, honestly, he's a Steelers fan. We don't really need to hear him anyway. So we'll just keep it pushing here at the Ball and Beats podcast. So how about this? We're finally getting back to a sport that actually matters,
yeah.
because no one cares about football anymore.
No,
one
I'm
does.
not saying that. I'm saying no one cares about basketball.
No one cares about the National Football League, right? No one does.
I love the National Football
No,
League.
I personally, it's. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. Trust me. But we're gonna start off this show today with baseball. How about that? It's been a hot second since we've had baseball on this podcast.
Crazy.
Shout out Andrew
Disrespect.
Hoffman and company and Asa Criddle. They're not here today to do it, but
Disrespect to baseball.
Spencer Contavious Caldwell Pope Gallup. It is your sport. It is your diehard. It's your bread and butter, as they say.
Yep.
And how about
How about those gritty
Tigers.
Tigs, baby?
the gritty?
The gritty Tigs. That's what they're called.
That's what a nickname.
The gritty Tigs. Yeah. Right now we're in the divisional series. We had one team already clinched. The Mets beat the Phillies 3-1, which is
How about that?
unbelievable, man. The New York Mets are the NL Tigers, in my opinion. The Tigers and the Mets are both the 6 seeds, and the Mets are going on to the NLCS. The Tigers, at the time of this recording, are up 2-1 in their series, and if they win today, then they will go to the ALCS if they clinch. If not, it'll be Game 5 in Cleveland. It'll be Saturday, and Skubal will be on the bump. So at the time of this recording, the Tigers may have already clinched, or we might be going to Game 5 in Cleveland. Don't know yet, but I'm hoping to just clinch it today. But yeah, it's been a really, really fun postseason so far, and I think the biggest takeaway is the teams that had byes have really struggled so far.
Fun fact, real quick, pivoting to the National League, every single time since the new playoff format has been set, the team with the bye has always lost and has never made the World Series, and the 6th seed
That's
has made it
crazy.
every single time. out
That's
of the National League.
absolutely nuts to think about.
Yeah.
That's absolutely nuts because they've had this new playoff format for a few years now, and it's crazy to think about that. It's the age-old thing, and it goes for any sport, hockey. It goes for baseball, football, any sport that has a bye. Do you take the bye or do you take the team that's already won a series or won a game or is fresh off a win, or do you take the team that's fresh off a rest? It's very, very interesting if you think about it, because in baseball it's been if the team's played in the wild card, they're gonna win, and I think that's what baseball was trying to get for with this new playoff format. I think they implemented it in 20. It was I think it was 22.
I think it was 21.
It was either 21 or 22.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But no, it's the fact that you've had a team like the Mets who were 11 games under 500 in June and just gone on this absolute run where they look like a powerhouse team. And this year in baseball, there's been no dominant team. There's no 100 win teams. The most is the Dodgers. They went 98-64. And they're good, but they're the Dodgers, so they'll probably lose in the NLDS. But it's a lot of parity this year. And I think that's why you're seeing teams like the Royals and like the Tigers have a lot better chances, because there's not a dominant team. The Yankees aren't a dominant team. They won 94 games. They're Aaron Judge cannot hit a baseball in the sport of October. Giancarlo Stanton
in the sport of October.
in the month of October.
There you go.
In the sport of October. And Giancarlo Stanton has been saving this team. Juan Soto really hasn't showed up so far for the Yankees, and they've had to rely on guys like Austin Wells to help them out. And it's why baseball's so unpredictable. I would say the most unpredictable sport format is the NHL. Yeah. NHL is absolutely insane. I mean, you could have an 8 seed win a Stanley Cup. You saw that with the LA Kings in 2014. But baseball's right there too. And I really believe that, the 6 seed Mets team looks like the best team in the NL. And you could make an argument that the 6 seed Tigers are playing the best baseball in the AL right now. I mean, you got the Yankees and the Royals on the other side of the AL.
Yeah, the Yankees
are up 2-1. And even then, the Yankees didn't even look good yesterday. They had to scrap out a win. Giancarlo Stanton hit a solo bomb in, I believe, the top of the 8th to give them the 3-2 lead, and the Yankees bullpen held it down for once in their lives because they normally don't. Yeah. The Royals have been a really fun story. They had 106 losses last year, and they've really turned it around. This team is star-studded at the top. Salvador Perez, you're getting out of him. Bobby Witt Jr. may be the best shortstop in all of baseball. MJ Melendez is a very good left fielder. Vinny Pasquantino has been a very solid first baseman for them. Michael Massey has made hits when they need to. Isbell, the center fielder. This Royals team is fun. Do I think they win the series? No. I think the Yankees...
Game 4 tonight is in Kansas City, though.
It is in Kansas City. But they got Garrett Cole tonight. I believe Game 4 should be tonight in Kansas City along with the Tigers game against the Guardians. And I think Garrett Cole I know he doesn't always show up in October, but his first start, he was pretty good. I think it was 1 earned run. He gave up 4 hits, and he had 8 strikeouts in Game 1, and he was very, very good. But this Yankees offense is so hot and cold that I can't trust them to win a World Series. My team that I would pick right now to win the World Series, I would love to say my Tigers, and they might make the World Series. I mean, this team is getting every break in the book. It's kind of crazy. You need a double play, you're going to get it. 2 on, 2 out. Lane Thomas comes up to that bat. Line out right to Matt Vierling at third base. I mean, they are getting outs and outs and outs when they need to. And they've gotten clutch hits. Matt Vierling has had some clutch hits. Riley Green had a clutch hit yesterday. The only player that's not doing anything worth a damn is Torkelson, but he had an RBI double yesterday. And he's 1 for 16 in the postseason. Yeah, that's terrible. Go get a first baseman in the offseason.
Not good.
No,
You've been saying that about Torkelson. Everyone's been saying that about Torkelson for how long now, it feels like?
A long time. Now, I will say, our opening day episode that we did here, I said the Tigers would win the AL Central. It came close, but they were 6 games out.
I don't want to say what I
said.
And
I said Torkelson would be an all-star. So, I got no room to talk. But a few weeks into the season, I'm like, okay, this dude blows.
Solid Toledo Mud Hen. The problem is he's still not even good when he's been down in Toledo.
No. He hit 220 in Toledo. That's nowhere near big league level. But they don't have that first baseman right now. I mean, you can throw Andy Ibanez at first if you need to. When they had Gio Urshela, he played first. But they don't really have a first baseman other than Torkelson that's played constant. It's him or maybe Andy Ibanez.
Let's go back to 2009, and you can trade for Tampa Bay Rays Carlos Pena. There you go.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about Rays baseball ever again on this podcast, by the way. I will say, though, since we are on that topic, pray for the city of Tampa Bay with everything with Hurricane Milton and everything. Tropicana Field, the roof has been completely destroyed. And hopefully everyone out in Central Florida is doing all right this week. So if anyone wants to help out a good cause or whatever, please help out the people down there in the Tampa and Orlando area and Fort Myers as well. So, but back to baseball.
Yeah. But prayers for everybody down there because it looks. I mean that scene. I saw it on Twitter last night of the roof getting just ripped off. It's crazy to think about. And they were housing a bunch of first responders in there because technically that was the safest place in Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Because the roof was actually structured well to where it would take a miracle for it to rip apart, or it would take a really strong hurricane and
Made it look like pieces of paper.
Yeah, it did. That's the crazy part. That's how strong this hurricane is. And prayers for everybody down there because it does not look good.
Now it gives the Rays a reason to move.
Oh, they're gonna go to Montreal.
Might be better. Might be better off, to be honest with you.
Logan, what's your biggest takeaway from this postseason in the MLB
Well, my
so
biggest
far?
takeaway, you said in the NL?
NL or just baseball?
Just in baseball
And it could be any team.
For me, I mean, really, for me, it's the fact that the Royals even made the postseason. I think because, like you said, last season had over 100 losses.
106 losses.
And
I believe it's the second team in MLB history to have 100 losses one year and then the next year make the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, your Tigers went on a massive run throughout, August into September.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the biggest surprise is the Royals because this was supposed to be like a year or two down the road when they're in the postseason. Even then, but still fighting for a chance to go to the ALCS. I mean, that's massive for Kansas City. Yeah, they're down 2-1 in the series right now, but they have Game 4 in Kansas City tonight. The fact that they're fighting still, we got to give credit to the AL Central because everyone talks about the AL East when it comes to the American League, and, well, the AL Central had 3 of the 6 teams in the playoffs. So
yeah, and they had 3 of the 4 in the division series.
Yes.
You had the Tigers, the Guardians, and the Royals. And there's at least going to be one in the ALCS because of the Tigers-Guardians series. And I think that's a testament. And then people said that this was going to be one of the worst divisions in all of baseball this year. And it turned out to be one of the best, if not the best.
It probably
because
was the best.
Because three teams make the postseason, which is crazy. And then you had the Twins who, while they were booty cheeks the last month, they were still over 500.
And they were arguably,
and then you had the White Sox.
They were arguably the one team that missed out too. The Twins were like one of those top 2
they were
3
the next
teams
team.
fighting.
It was them in Seattle. It was them in Seattle battling it out. And then once Detroit made that run in the last 2 months, they really solidified themselves as the Twins were collapsing and the Tigers were surging.
If I can recall, I think I had the Seattle Mariners winning the World Series preseason wise.
Speaking of winning the World Series, who do you have in the World Series and who do you have winning them?
Who do I have in the World Series? Well, I think whoever wins between Cleveland and Detroit will win the American League. So right now the Tigers are looking the part. I'm going to give it to your Tigers. I think the Tigers will make the World Series. That's not even like a joke. I'm being truly serious there. And when you look on the National League side, you've got the Dodgers and the Padres tied at 2 right now. Yeah, I feel like the Mets are the hottest team in baseball right now, but I like the other 2 teams between the Dodgers and the Padres more. I think whoever wins that will be in the World Series as well. I'm going to give a nod to Andrew's team and the San Diego Padres. So we're going to have a Tigers-Padres World Series, in my opinion. And I'm going to give a nod as well to the Friars out there in San Diego. I think they're going to win the World Series. I think they're going to mess around and win it.
So I'm going to take you back to 1984. 40 years ago, the Tigers won the World Series, as not a lot of people know because it's 40 years ago. In the ALCS, they played the Kansas City Royals. In the World Series, they played the San Diego Padres. 40 years later, we're going to get the exact same thing. I may be a little biased. I may be riding this thing because
or a little hobby bias.
This have him stay the F away from this team. And I know he just got reactivated. I swear to God, if we win this series and I see him on the ALCS roster, sweep. We're getting swept. I don't care if it's by Kansas City or New York. We will not win a game. We will not score a run. It'll be a blowout because this dude is the devil. I'm tired of
the devil.
Javi
Baez is the devil.
Javi Baez is the devil.
All right.
And
you should rock your Javi Baez shirt.
I will never
next
wear
episode.
that again.
You should rock it. I mean, a good friend of yours purchased that for you out of the kindness of his own heart.
I appreciate it more than anything, and I know he did that to piss me off more than anything.
No, it wasn't. Definitely not. I don't know why this guy would do that to try and piss you off. Kevin, do you have any influence here on this conversation with Javi Baez? Okay. Look at that beautiful face over there.
Still can't hear him.
Look at that glorious face.
He still looks great. Yeah, I go by. I think the Padres are going to win Game 5 in LA. They've played like the better team. I know they just got blown out 8-0.
Still looking at Kevin's beautiful face right here. Still looking at Kevin's glorious face. Look at him. There we go.
They've played a lot. They played like the better team. The Padres look more dangerous, and they have a better offense, in my opinion. Freddie Freeman's had some injury issues. He didn't play yesterday. I like San Diego out of that series, and then Mets and Padres will be an absolute. It'll be absolute.
That's going to go to 7.
It'll be absolute cinema, and it will go to 7 games. But I think I'll give it because it's home field advantage, and Petco Park is one of the most insane atmospheres.
I have been to Petco Park myself.
Yep. I think the Padres take it in 7, and for the Tigers, it's a team that they piss me off a lot this season. But the fact that they've gone on this run is something I couldn't even believe. It's great to see. It's great to see them come together. A.J. Hinch should be manager of the year. I don't care what anyone says. You can have Stephen Vogt or you can have Carlos Mendoza of the Mets. A.J. Hinch has done so much with so little. This Tigers team is talented, but they do not have the talent of some of these other teams. They don't have the talent of the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Mets. You can argue the Royals because of their top talent. I mean, the Tigers have really good players, but they don't have any stars. They have a superstar in Tarek Skubal. That is known. He's won the AL Cy Young. He's won the Triple Crown. Get out of the way with this Class A BS. It's Skubal. End of story. But for position players, they have a bunch of solid guys in Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, Colt Keith. You can throw Veerling in there, Wenzel Perez, Jake Rogers has been decent at times. Sweeney's been a solid acquisition for them. But they don't have any star power. And A.J. Hinch has used every single player. He used 21 guys in that game yesterday. He used I believe 7, or it was either 7 or 6 pitchers, and then he used like almost 15 position guys. It's crazy. They are rotating this lineup in and out for matchups. Righty on lefty, lefty on righty, whatever players which, because they have players that hit righties better than lefties and lefties better than righties. It just depends on which way you hit the bat. And he has done it to perfection. Stephen Vogt had to pinch hit 2 guys in Will Brennan and Andres Jimenez yesterday to just to keep up with what A.J. Hinch was doing, and it screwed the Guardians over in the end. The Guardians have gone for 20 straight innings without a run. This team is getting every damn break in the book. I can't fathom it because 33-13 over a 2-month span is ludicrous. And then you go to the postseason, you go to Houston, and you smack the Astros. You beat them twice, you sweep them. A team that's made the ALCS for 6 straight years, and then you have Cleveland, who has had your number in the past. The Guardians are not an easy team to play against, and their bullpen
could easily,
their bullpen, every single guy's above is under 2 ERA. It's crazy.
Yeah,
they got Mariano Rivera. Every single guy coming into this game. Every single guy's got a 1.6, a 1.5, a 1.7 ERA.
Before the playoffs, I thought the Guardians were going to come out of the American League.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So. For Detroit to do what they've done here in the last 2 months, it's nothing short of remarkable. Can't wait to hear the trash can accusations in 2 years, though.
You know what?
No, I'm just messing with you.
If we won the World Series, I could give a damn.
You know what you sound like?
I know I sound like an Astros fan.
No. What you really sound like is a Michigan football fan right now.
Oh.
That's what you really sound like.
You know what? No.
Nah, but seriously, though, what the Tigers have done here in the last couple months is, like, very remarkable. Not even to sugarcoat it. It is. And,
it's voodoo. It's voodoo.
They might have sold their soul for a World Series this year.
You know what it is? Ever seen the movie Major League?
Yes.
Remember when they were all looking at their manager, like, okay, we're all getting cut at the end of the year. What are we going to do? And then the catcher comes in and says, I guess we got one thing to do. Go win the whole effing thing. And this Tigers team has taken that to heart as they've gone on a run, gone into the playoffs, and they're now 1 win away from the ALCS. It's crazy. I still don't believe it. Because I saw this team the first 3 months of the season, they couldn't score. They couldn't score at all. This team was terrible with runners in scoring position. Torkelson was terrible. Riley Green was injured. Kerry Carpenter was injured. Parker Meadows was sent down to Toledo because he was hitting 100 his first month. And you had Javi Baez, you had Mark Canna, you had Gio Urshela, and I don't understand. I still don't. They called up all these young guys. Jace Young. They traded for Trey Sweeney. You have Colt Keith, who has developed more. You called up Parker Meadows back up, and he's been one of the best center fielders defensive-wise in all of baseball. And they're 1 win away from the ALCS. I don't believe it. I don't. It's crazy to me. I saw this team be terrible offensively. The one thing that has not changed is Skubal being that dude. Skubal has been the best pitcher in all of baseball, and it's not close. I don't care about Paul Skeens. I don't care about Chris Sale. I don't care about any of these guys. It's Skubal.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And the fact that, they've gone into the postseason, they had one guy who has 12 games of postseason experience. That's Matt Vierling. Matt Vierling, who's been a very underrated player for this team, 12 games of playoff experience for the Phillies. He wasn't a starter for the Phillies. It's over a few years. He was a bench player. All these guys are young. All these guys are rookies, and they're going in and they're winning. It's absolutely crazy to me. I absolutely love it. But
the city of Detroit with its sports right now is on the come up.
I don't believe it. I don't understand it. And then at some point, and I've done this. At some point, you just don't have to understand it. You just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because the fact that this team has gone on this run, I haven't seen them make the playoffs in 10 years. I was 11 years old the last time I saw them in the postseason. I've seen some of the worst baseball of the past 10 years, and the fact that this team has done the remarkable is. It's great. I don't understand it, but I'm not. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
I've talked to people about this. It's like I'm very happy. I just don't understand it. But sometimes you don't have to understand things. Sometimes things just work out for your favor, and sometimes you just got things. You got breaks going your way. Bases loaded, no outs, and pop up, double play, easy. 3 pitches, you're done. And then you're calling all these relief pitchers up from Toledo who have a 4 or 5 ERA, and they're all Mariano Rivera.
You know what? I already know the title of this episode. Detroit Tigers.
Tigers.
Detroit Tigers equals World Series champions.
I'm gonna be honest. I can't say no right now. I can't. Would I love it? Absolutely. I'd be off this. I'd be out of UT for a week. I'd be going up to Detroit and getting drunk every day, and I'd be at the parade. And I'd tell Kevin straight up, "Hey, I'm not showing up to media for 2 days."
Oh. You're going to dock that grade down a little bit,
that
huh?
grade might get Okay, one day I'll show up for the show. No, but
get on him, Kevin. Get on him, Kevin. Get on him.
I'm kidding, but no, it's remarkable. It's remarkable what they're doing, and it's awesome, man. I can't hear you, Kevin.
We'll have to hear him back on replay more than anything else for some time.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to really yell into the microphone and just really spew it out to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, what the Tigers have done has been really remarkable this season.
So we both have Tigers, Padres, World Series.
Yes, we do. So
Crazy.
we're going to take a quick break here from the Ball and Beats podcast. When we come back, football talk when we get back from the Ball and Beats podcast.
Yeah.
And welcome back here to the Ball and Beats podcast where, before we have to get into the real nitty-gritty of this football segment, let's talk about some positive stuff, shall we? College football season, it's been really, really fun. A lot of entertaining stuff. And how about we get into maybe the shock of the decade this past weekend on Saturday night.
How about them Commodores? Actually, how about them Commodores? How about them Razorbacks? How about those Huskies?
How about the Gophers?
Minnesota out of left field. Yeah, Cal, you're dead to me. Actually, no, you're not dead to me.
No, yeah, that's your love.
I was cheering against Miami.
That's your love.
It's Cal, but the U
There's a lot to break down from this past college football weekend, and for me, Vanderbilt, man. Like Diego Pavia, last year he was New Mexico State's quarterback, went into Auburn and beat Auburn on the road at War Eagle. This year, at home against Bama, as the Vanderbilt quarterback and beats them. He owns the state of Alabama. Shout out Diego Pavia. Shout out Vanderbilt. Biggest upset in the last 10 years in college football, arguably, when it comes to in-conference play. Traveling 3 miles down the road with your goalpost into the river and throwing it into the river in downtown Nashville, going down Bourbon Street and Broadway.
Vanderbilt hasn't had anything to cheer about in ever.
Yeah.
So, that was awesome, man. And I will say this: Vanderbilt is not Vanderbilt of past years. They actually look pretty good this year.
Yes.
They did lose at Georgia State, but they took Missouri to the wire. Another top 10 team who lost this week to Texas A&M, but they took Missouri to the wire and they lost in overtime. But the fact that they beat Alabama at home, number 1 Alabama, I feel so happy for Commodores fans, man, because they haven't had anything to cheer about.
Ever in football.
Literally. It's just baseball. They only have baseball, and even baseball, they haven't won anything since 2019.
They've had some decent basketball teams in past, but not like history.
Crazy.
Nothing history-wise. Baseball, Vanderbilt
Scottie
lives on
Pippen
baseball.
Jr., and that's about it. and Darius Garland went there, right?
Yes, I think so.
I was going to say Darius Garland went there. No, it's awesome, man, because that's what college football is all about. It's about the upsets, and that's exactly what we got this week. It's about the upsets, it's about the fun, it's about the traditions, and it's about beating Alabama, because that's hilarious.
I will say,
Diego Pavia, absolutely great game, and Vanderbilt's defense stepped up when they needed to.
Yes.
Second half wasn't great, but they made the stops when they needed to, and the offense was fantastic. 40 points against Alabama. I don't care what Bama team it is in the past decade. They're all good. That's a great win for Vanderbilt. And it's a program-setting win that hopefully can get them at least to a bowl game this year. Because now they're 3-2, and go to a bowl game this year. Because I think Vanderbilt, I think they can get on the right track because of this win.
And I will say this as well about Alabama. I do think that this is almost going to benefit them in the long run, oddly enough. Because I feel like in Bama teams in years past, ones that do end up winning the national championship, they tend to have a loss like this. Not necessarily against like a Vanderbilt. It's usually a higher quality opponent, typically speaking, like an A&M or an Ole Miss or even like a Mississippi State or something like that. Those kind of programs where they've got a little bit to them. They're more middle of the pack. Vanderbilt this year is middle of the pack. It's not Vanderbilt of the past. I think it's needed for Alabama to just get punched in the mouth here early on in the conference play, and then sometimes that's just all you need. Jalen Milroe, it wasn't his greatest game by any stretch of the imagination.
But he wasn't bad.
He wasn't awful. The defense, not great in that game for Alabama. But moving forward, I think this is we're going to sit back and realize this Bama team needed something like that to happen for them to flourish.
Yeah.
We've sat here and we can keep talking about the freshman wide receivers. You can talk about Ryan Williams, absolute beast.
Yep.
You can turn to Columbus, talk about Jeremiah Smith as well. We know all the talent in the world that Bama has still, even with Kalen DeBoer now as head coach. It's not a season-changing loss, I don't think. I think it's going to rejuvenate this locker room. I think they're going to realize where their mistakes are, where their weaknesses are. They're going to attack it well because it's Alabama. And Nick Saban is still a part of that program, regardless of what they say.
He's still involved, yeah.
So, Alabama, you'll be all right. You will be fine. Now, when it comes to some of these other losses across the country, in Tennessee against Arkansas, that one, to me, it wasn't too surprising because I feel like Tennessee is kind of like Ole Miss this year. You know what I mean? A little bit overhyped, but with Tennessee, you've got not a freshman. You have a sophomore quarterback, first-year starter, Nico Iamaleava. Hold on. There's a
Iamaleava.
Nope, it's not Iamaleava. It's Iamaleava. Iamaleava is how you pronounce his last name. I figured it out. Iamaleava. He's gonna be a star quarterback. He's he's gonna be is already one of my favorite quarterbacks in college
really
football.
Good this season. Yeah.
And he made a first-year starter mistake on their last play of the game.
Yeah, that was bad.
And he's going to learn from it. And Tennessee's going to be fine. Coach Josh Heupel and company down there in Knoxville are going to be good.
Yeah, I fully trust Josh Heupel. He's proven that at Tennessee, and I still think they make the college football playoffs. Even with like he said, Nico Iamaleava. I don't know how you say it.
Iamaleava.
Nico. I'm gonna call him Nico. Nico Lee. He made a freshman mistake. He really did. And I think he is a redshirt freshman, if I'm not mistaken.
He might be a redshirt.
Because he was redshirted last year. So redshirt, freshman, sophomore, whatever. He's young. Running out of bounds, not great when you only have 5 seconds left and you're running out of the pocket. But I think this is going to be good. Like, for me, with the new college football playoff, you can lose 1-2 games and you'll be fine. As long as you go on, you win your games, stay in the top 12, you're going to be fine. I think Tennessee's going to be fine. I think Alabama's going to be fine. I think they both make it, and it's still going to be an awesome matchup, I believe, next week, 3rd of October, with Alabama at Tennessee. But I will say that was a bad loss. Arkansas is not a good team.
They're not a good team. They're a middle-of-the-pack team this year. I think Arkansas is better than they were previous season.
Yeah.
They have played pretty well to start off the year for Arkansas standards, and Sam Pittman is a good coach.
Yeah.
It's just hard to win at Arkansas on a consistent level and a consistent basis. Where with Tennessee right now, the expectations are now back to where Tennessee fans really want it to.
SEC championship.
And it's funny, if you actually look at the SEC right now, and what the conference championship game would be if the season ended today, would be Texas A&M against Texas.
Last game of the year.
Last game of the season.
The last game of the season is rivalry week will be there.
How about
in Aggie Land too?
And how about A&M mollywhopping Missouri at home?
A&M looks like a different team than it did week 1.
Marcel Reed, their quarterback now, should be their starting quarterback moving forward.
I think they'll still give it to Weigman because he's more.
I know he's more experienced.
I do.
But
He's more experienced, and I do think there is something to be said for that. And no, Texas A&M looks a lot more impressive these past few weeks. They beat Arkansas last week, and then they beat Missouri this week.
I think if they play Notre Dame right now, they beat them.
Yes, especially in College Station.
Yeah,
I agree. No, I think A&M is going to be another team that's going to be fighting. I don't know if they get to the college football playoffs. I think they go 9-3 this year. I'm pretty sure they play Alabama and they play Texas. I don't think they'll win either of those games. But no, A&M looks to be trending upward with the first-year head coach. And Mike Elko.
Mike Elko, that's a solid coach right there in Mike Elko. For me, how about this? We don't have any Michigan fans here today, so we can say whatever we want, Spencer.
Oh, that's tough.
How about them going up to Seattle and just choking away a loss to Will Rogers and the Huskies, the team that they beat in the national championship 1 year ago, with quote-unquote, how about this? Chris Olave's high school quarterback, Jack Tuttle. The guy, fun little nugget, and I've told it to Andrew.
That's crazy.
Jack Tuttle was a guy that Urban Meyer and Ohio State were recruiting in like 2017.
I say he was at Indiana for 4 years, I believe.
He
transferred to Michigan.
He Urban Meyer went to recruit Jack Tuttle at his high school in California. They find this wide receiver out there that he's throwing to, and they're like, "Who's this guy?" And all the locals there are like, "Oh, he just transferred in. He just transferred in from a different city," and they fell in love with this wide receiver and everything. Chris Olave from Ohio State.
Turned out to be pretty good.
Turned out to be a really good wide receiver, and they stopped recruiting Jack Tuttle. Jack Tuttle is 24, 25 years old, and he's their best quarterback option in Michigan right now. Their quarterback situation, I don't care. I'm not holding back. It's an absolute show up in Ann Arbor with their quarterback position right now.
Especially after a national title, and I get you lost a lot. Michigan did. I mean, they lost their damn near their entire coaching staff, but The point of winning a national championship is not being one and done. It's to continue moving forward with talent. You lost a lot of talent, but you also retained some talent. You still have Will Johnson. You still have Mason Graham. You still have Kenneth Grant. You still have your offensive line is brand new. You still have Donovan Edwards, but
Khalil Mullings has been their main back
Khalil Mullings
this
has
season.
been their main guy, and he's been their best running back. Donovan Edwards has been nowhere. And I think it's to be said about Michigan. I think they screwed up the transfer portal. I think that they kind of overdid their quarterback situation, saying Alex Orji was going to be like this. Alex Orji, why was he a 4-star? This dude sucks. This dude is ass. He's a running back. He can't throw the ball. He throws the ball 5 yards. That's it. Like
he is going
for
to
me,
hit
it's
the
hilarious.
He's gonna hit the portal.
And I hope Michigan fans are, and they will say this. They're happy with their national title. You guys are going to stink for a few years because Sharon Moore is also one of the bigger issues that no one is talking about. His coaching's been terrible. The coaching, Wink Martindale has been Don Brown 2.0. They look the same. And their offense has regressed immensely. They look terrible. I get it. You lost all this talent. You know who else lost a ton of talent? Ohio State in 2019. You know what they did the next year? They won the Big Ten title with C.J. Stroud. They went from Justin Fields to C.J. Stroud. It's called developing. And Michigan can't do that with a quarterback. J.J. McCarthy was a very, very good quarterback. He was nothing special. And I will argue anybody on that. He was a very good quarterback. He was not a special quarterback. He wasn't. And Michigan fans are finding out that they overhyped their quarterback room with Alex Orji and Davis Warren and, G backup, whoever they want to bring up from wherever. They all blow. Their best quarterback is Jaden Davis, and they're not going to play him.
Yeah.
Not till maybe next year.
Yeah. He should be next year.
He should be next year. He redshirted. He entered early last year. I believe he's redshirted this year. He's going to start next year. And the problem is Michigan's losing their best players again this year. Will Johnson, Will Johnson's one of the best players in college football. It doesn't matter who's coaching him. He's still elite.
He's going to be a top 15 draft pick in this class.
Top 5.
He should be top 5. I think
top 5.
Should be top 5.
But their offense, it's like Iowa. It's terrible. I think Iowa has a better offense right now with Cade McNamara.
I think
than Michigan.
I think Caleb Johnson's a better back than anything Michigan's got right now in Iowa.
And where's all this? Donovan Edwards is going to pop off for 1,300 rushing yards and smash that I heard all offseason from Sharon Moore. I'm seeing losing. I'm seeing Michigan should be 2-4. They should have lost to Minnesota on that onside kick that was taken back, and they should have lost to USC if USC didn't shove their head up there. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
They should be 2-4, and I'm great. I'm counting down the days.
Yeah.
I'm counting down the days to when to November 30th. Because
can't wait to watch us lose again.
I absolutely cannot wait. I cannot wait. If Ryan Day, if you lose to this Michigan team, get the hell out. Leave. This team blows. And I don't care about this jinxing or whatever. I'm serious. This Michigan team is ass.
They are. They are.
They are. They're not good.
Comparative to
the last 3 years, you got to give. I mean, that's their best 3-year stretch since the late 90s.
Yes,
with Desmond Howard, and
Charles Woodson,
all those guys. But they're ass.
They are.
And I was told all off season that Sharon Moore is going to continue, Jim Harbaugh's legacy and all this BS. And, it turned out Sharon Moore didn't have a contract. And then they signed one in the season a few games in for some reason. That was kind of kept under wraps. And Donovan Edwards going to pop off, the cover of NCAA. He's been nowhere. Their quarterback room's been nowhere. Their defense, for the talent that it does have, has been largely average. It hasn't been great.
Besides the two best in Mason Graham and Will Johnson.
Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, they don't look the same. And I think that has to do, obviously, with losing Jesse Minter, who is a fantastic defensive coordinator. I think that has something to do with it. And I'm not going to go into the Stallion stuff, stealing signs, because I don't want to go into an hour-long show, or an hour-long segment. But it really, I think that obviously this is affecting them. I agree with that. Losing Jim Harbaugh, losing your strength and conditioning coach, losing your defensive coordinator, losing almost every good player on offense. You lost your offensive line, your quarterback, your running back, your wide receiver 1 in Roman Wilson, and your wide receiver 2 in Cornelius Johnson. You lost a lot. I am not saying that like it's a valid excuse. But seeing it from a fan of a team who has lost a lot of talent before, 2019 Ohio State lost damn near everybody on offense and defense. You know what they did the next year? They had C.J. Stroud pop off on his sophomore year, and the defensive players stepped up. Denzel Burke was a freshman corner. He stepped up. And they had all the defensive line with Jack Sorer, J.T. Tuimoloau, Tyleik Williams. I've seen my team do it too. And coaching is the main problem for me for Michigan. It's not a problem. It's hilarious to laugh at. I don't care. They can go 0-12. But Sharon Moore's coaching has been terrible. It's been bad. They don't make any adjustments in the second half. They look slow most of the time. They choked the game to Washington. They should have lost to Minnesota. They should have lost to USC. I mean, what else is there to say? This team's ass.
Yeah.
And Michigan fans will probably agree with me on this, but your quarterback room is
the worst in college football.
One of the worst in college football. And
yes.
I don't think it's particularly close. And Michigan does not have a whole lot of winnable games, in my opinion, left. You really think you're going to Indiana and winning? I know Indiana was a pushover the past few years. Indiana looks pretty damn good with
Curt Cignetti, Curtis Rourke, the OU
Curtis
transfer.
Rourke, the guy that I advocated for a lot of teams because I really thought he was good. He's popping off for the Hoosiers. Hoosiers look really good, and Curt Cignetti wins wherever he goes. And he will tell you that, too. He's cocky, but he backs it up.
Yeah.
And you go – Michigan's at Illinois this week. You're not – Brett Bielema will smack this Michigan team. You still got to play Oregon at home. You still got to play at Ohio State. The only winnable game I would maybe say you have left is Michigan State at home. And even then – Aiden Childs, he looks good, but he turns the ball over a whole lot.
Yes, he does. 5 touchdowns to 8 interceptions on the season.
It's not good, but he's a lot better than any quarterback you have. So bask in your national championship glory. Go watch highlights of January 8th, 2024 for the next 10 years because you will not come close to that. And I hope you enjoyed it because your run is over.
Speaking of actual success, Jeremiah Smith is an absolute beast for Ohio State. Every single season.
No 50-50 balls.
When you say something like that already as a true freshman, is nuts. Yes, Ryan Williams has more receiving yards.
We can both just say they are both electric. I don't want to do this comparison because they're both different receivers. Jeremiah Smith is a great route runner.
He's a one-on-one guy.
He's more of a one-on-one guy. Ryan Williams, run as fast as you can because you can't catch me. I'm Ryan Williams. All of his passes are all long passes, but it doesn't matter because they're both electric. But Jeremiah Smith going out says there are no 50-50 balls. That is,
you could sit here and have the conversation.
He's taken Emeka Egbuka's spot. Emeka Egbuka has been decent. Jeremiah Smith is him. He is.
You could have the conversation in 2027 that Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams could be the first and second overall pick in the entire
crazy.
class.
Two receivers off the board,
Imagine.
1 and 2.
I'm genuinely serious. People have said that already.
Oh, no.
The talent that they have as freshmen,
it's crazy.
They're the best freshman wide receivers already through 5-6 weeks of college football. And now
he looks like a 3-year vet. He looks like he's been here for 3 years.
Yes, he does. He does. Jeremiah Smith in particular.
And Ryan Day
Williams
does not start freshmen. We talked about this the other day. He doesn't start freshman, but he started Jeremiah Smith for a reason because he's not a freshman.
No, he is a junior as a freshman.
Yes.
He is literally a man amongst boys. Let's get into our Rockets here on homecoming weekend. They beat the Miami Redhawks 30-20. Tucker Gleason had a day. Yeah, he threw 2 interceptions. One was his fault, one wasn't, but they avenged their loss from Detroit in December here at home against Miami. Brett Gabbert, he is not the same.
My Miami pick to make the playoffs preseason.
That might be worse than the Virginia Tech pick.
Yeah, I had a lot. I might have been too much.
Gabbert hasn't been the same since his injury, though. He's averaging roughly 52-53% completion percentage on the season. I mean, Miami's had a tough stretch to start the year. They've had to play probably their toughest games all season in the first half of their season. And they did lose some impactful players. They lost Rashad Amos to Ole Miss. They lost their kicker, Nicholson, to Alabama.
Yeah.
They've lost other players as well into the portal this season. They still kept a good amount of guys.
They kept most of their main players from last year because they all wanted to come back for big year. But I mean, they're 1-4. I mean, I obviously Miami's not going away. I still have it hard to believe that they're going to be bad. I still think they're going to go 7-5, or maybe win out in 8-4.
Yeah.
But they have some tough games. They still got to play Bowling Green. They still play OU, and OU's not that bad. But yeah, man, I will say this: Toledo's defense played a damn good game on Saturday, but their special teams may have been even better.
Dylan Cunanan.
Yeah, Dylan Cunanan or Cunanan.
It's Cunanan.
Cunanan. Okay. So that's why I said it wrong on the broadcast that one time.
Their kicker, Dylan Cunanan, is probably the best kicker in the MAC right now.
Yep.
Toledo has not really been able to say that much in the last decade, actually, for their kicker perspective, because most of our coaches are very aggressive on fourth down, but now they have really good confidence in Dylan Cunanan to make field goals.
Not since Vest.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. And that was like 17, 18?
Probably even before that, maybe even
16?
2016.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But when it comes to Toledo, Avery Smith with the blocked punt. You had Toledo's first two drives. They started on Miami's 37 and Miami's 18. Quick 14 points early on in the first 7 minutes of this ball game for the Rockets.
They really jumped ahead early.
And really gave them the momentum to start off this game where Miami just couldn't come back.
Yep.
My two highlights of the game, my two highlighted players, Darius Alexander. He might be the best defensive player in the entire MAC. 6 tackles, 5 solo, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 pass deflection.
That's a crazy stat line. That's a crazy. That'd be good anywhere.
If you watch the film, you watch Darius Alexander. He is double teamed, even triple teamed most of the time up the middle.
He was.
He is truly. He's an NFL player. Darius Alexander. The rest of the country needs to know about him because he is going to make headway.
Yep.
And he's probably going to get drafted whenever he can go. I'd forget if he could go now or not, but he's going to get picked, and he is going to play somewhere, and he is going to show it. Darius Alexander is the best defensive player in the entire MAC. Maybe one of the best in the entire group of 5. And then Braden Alls, sophomore kid from Central Catholic. Shout out the Irish. 3 picks on the season.
Man, he's been fantastic.
He wasn't really a surprise in the locker room, though. And he wasn't a surprise on the coaching staff.
But he's a surprise to Rockets fans.
Yes.
He's a surprise to, I knew about him to begin with, but I didn't know he was going to be this good. He's been fantastic as a sophomore, stepping up in this defense that had a little bit of, renovating going because of losing Quinyon Mitchell. But
you're talking about a highly under-recruited kid out of Central, too. This kid, when you talk about a lot of other kids or whatever, this kid is a true leader. He is smart in the classroom. He's always had good grades. He's always been a leader in the locker room. The fact that he was overlooked by a lot of other big programs is truly surprising to me because
it's a little bit to try to lock him down because he keeps playing well.
And Avery Smith,
the same
both
thing.
of them. They've been the two best defensive backs, even better than Max and Hook, even better than Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, even though they are corners, not safeties like those two. They have really stepped up and really taken over.
Their corner position, even with losing Quinyon, it hasn't skipped a beat.
I'm going to say this defense is better than last year's defense. Even though Quinyon Mitchell is not on this roster anymore, he was a difference maker. This defense as a whole, the defensive line across the board is better.
They don't have any holes.
They have no holes on this defense. None.
Yeah.
And you could even argue maybe a little bit with the
linebackers, corners, defensive line. It is all really, really good. They don't have a one hole. They really don't. And I think that's a testament to Jason Candle's recruiting and developing.
Yes.
Because you lose a player like Quinyon who might be your best of all time. I mean, he might be one of the best. I mean, he's the highest drafted Rocket of all time. But, first round pick, 22. It's really hard to get a MAC guy drafted in the first round. It's a testament to what Jason Candle's done, and he's just got an extension through 2028. He's deserved it. We have said some stuff about Candle in the past, and I have too, because like many other Rockets fans, we've gotten frustrated with all this talent Toledo has not delivered some years. They've had talent like this before and have gone 6-6, 7-5. And that's unexcusable. Now this team's 4-1, and they have a tough set of games coming up. They got to go to Buffalo, and then that Bowling Green game might be. Toledo might see Bowling Green again.
Yes.
Bowling Green is very, very good this year.
Harold Fannin Jr. is the
best tight end in football.
Tight end, yes. He's the best tight end in college football. He is 4th in receiving yards across the board.
He's a junior. He's got another year, too.
If you want to talk about a MAC guy who easily could be a first-round pick this year,
yes,
Harold Fannin Jr., pin him on the draft boards now.
His crazy.
Before we even get into draft talk in the springtime, Harold Fannin Jr. is easily a first-round talent out of Bowling Green.
And Connor Bazelak's been very good for him.
Yes.
I mean, a transfer from Indiana a few years ago. He wasn't well at Indiana, but ever since he's gotten to Bowling Green, he's developed, and he's looked like a lot better of a quarterback.
Scott Loeffler has really, really built that program back up. And
give credit to Bowling Green. Yeah. I mean, they were in it with both Penn State and Texas A&M.
Easily could have beat both of them.
They easily could have beaten both of them. They should have beaten Penn State.
Yes.
They were lucky that Penn State's lucky that Bowling Green, choked, to be fair. But, no, this Bowling Green team is very good. They have a very stout defense, and their offense is very good as well. It's going to be a hell of a matchup in the Glass Bowl at the end of October. That might be – winner of that game will most likely go to the MAC. The loser might see him again.
Yes.
Because these two are the best teams in the Mid-American Conference, at least right now.
Don't sleep on Buffalo, who Toledo plays this weekend.
Don't sleep on Buffalo, and do not sleep on NIU. NIU is still very good, and so is Buffalo.
Akron's a dark horse. OU can sneak. They can sneak.
The only team you don't got to worry about is Kent State.
That's truly, that is the only team you
really
don't have to
might
worry
be the
about.
worst team in all of FBS.
Football. All of
football.
FBS, yeah. Well, that was a lot for college, and I thought we had a good discussion there, but
it's time for the NFL. So what I'll do is I'll leave the set, and I'll be back in 15 minutes, and he'll still be talking. No, so we have to start out with. I don't think there's any. We got to start with the Browns. So Cleveland went to Washington, and Jaden Daniels, man, is he good? He is so good.
I did say that about Jaden Daniels preseason. The one thing I've been right about, Asa, I have been right about Washington and the Commanders. Shout out Jaden Daniels. He's winning Rookie of the Year.
They're winning. They are leading the NFC East right now. I mean, they look like a legit contender with a first-year head coach, a first-year OC, a first-year quarterback, and they have, I think it's the biggest turnover of starters in all of the NFL. I think when I was watching that game, they said that because their defense, I mean, they added Bobby Wagner. Their defensive line for the main is the same, but they got new corners, they got new safeties. They got Bobby Wagner in the offseason. They signed him. And on offensive line is kind of new. They got a new run. They got Austin Eckler they signed. I mean, as Zach Ertz that they signed. And obviously, the leader of this team, and he's only 23, he's his rookie, Jaden Daniels. And I know the stats might not be the greatest. I mean, he only has, I think, 5 touchdown passes, either 5 or 6. It's not great, but if you watch this dude play, he's a difference maker. He's an absolute difference maker, and it's something Washington has not had since, Kirk Cousins was a decent quarterback in Washington. Jaden Daniels is going to be better than him.
If RG3 never got injured, we could have said he might have been.
Yes.
But even before RG3, really, I feel like the next closest thing you might have had, if I can even recall correctly off the top of my head, I don't know, Rex Grossman, and he wasn't a difference. And he wasn't no difference maker. He wasn't a difference maker.
He's just a decent QB. But no, this Washington team is fantastic, and we saw it on Sunday. The defense, they don't have to do much, but against Cleveland. But yeah, it's enough about Washington. We got to talk about Cleveland. Defense was out there for like 40-some minutes again. Offense, this might be the worst offense in all the NFL. Now, I'll let you talk because you're going to want to talk probably for a while. My biggest issue, I know Deshaun Watson is to blame, and that is true. But I will also say this. The offensive line for the Browns has been an absolute garbage can. They have been utterly atrocious. Amari Cooper dropping dropping passes. Jerry Jeudy dropping passes. David Njoku dropping passes. And then your running back duo is one of the worst in the league. So Jerome Ford is a nothing, and Dante Foreman is also a nothing. Cleveland does not have a whole lot going right now, and they go to Philadelphia this week, which Philly isn't the same Philly from the past, but they're still Philadelphia. You still gotta go to Philly. This is I don't understand Kevin Stefanski saying that there's no, and obviously
they're paying a guy $230 million. Of course, they're going to say they're not going to start somebody else.
Okay, but have the highest paid backup and throw an actual quarterback in with a chance to win. You are not winning with this dude.
Obviously,
cut your losses. Put him on the bench. You still have cap space. Start Jameis. Jameis is a leader. This team would actually play for him. And I think that, Amari Cooper wouldn't look dead half the time and look like he hated the world. I would think that Jerry Jeudy would actually give a damn, that David Njoku would actually catch the ball, that the offensive line would maybe actually block for their quarterback, and the running backs wouldn't be a complete shit show with Jerome Ford and Dante Foreman. I mean, Nick Chubb should be out for the year.
I agree.
Sit him.
I agree.
Play him next year.
I will say
and
this.
I'm mad, and I'm not even a Browns fan.
I will say this. If you've ever watched any of the social media clips, look at the quarterback who is leading the huddles. It is Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston.
It is not Deshaun Watson. Okay, well, my turn real quick. But before I go, Kevin, what are your thoughts on the Cleveland Browns situation, Kevin? I want to throw it to you, simply because why not, as a Steelers fan, have your own take on
he lost.
how the Browns are doing?
Hey, he lost, so there you go.
Get my mic turned on here so I can.
There you go.
Hey.
I am loving watching the Browns this year. But I mean, it's true. I mean, the Browns have got to take the hit on Deshaun. They've got to put Jameis in there. I mean, they've got to swallow their pride, swallow the $236 million or whatever it is, and just do something. Because, every year Browns fans get their hopes up. This is going to be the year. We finally got the quarterback. Deshaun was never the answer. He was coming in with so much baggage. It was going to be it was just going to be a crap show. And it has panned out exactly that way. So, yeah, as a Steelers fan, I'm kind of loving it. I'm also kind of hating it because I love the Steelers-Browns rivalry. And I would like to see a Steelers-Browns game where they're actually competitive against the Steelers. And anybody who's sleeping on the Steelers this year, I think we're seeing a resurgence from
Fields.
I just blanked on it. Who's the Steelers quarterback?
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. Jeez, I'm a Buckeye fan too, and C.J. Stroud kept coming in my head.
Probably because you were in that control room too much, Kevin.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But having Justin Fields, kind of reigniting the Steelers and watching their defense, watching the steel curtain reemerge, and I mean they've got a real positive outlook, and I would like to see a competitive Browns play the Steelers. So bring back those glory days of those things. But they keep in Deshaun, it ain't gonna happen. Bring in Jameis. Sit him down.
I saw something online and I would honestly, personally do this if I was Andrew Berry. And Browns fans might hate it, but it's a clean reset. So what you do is you go to a team with a crap ton of cap space, and you say, "Hey,
Carolina,
want a first-round pick? Want a top 10 pick probably this year?" And they'll obviously say, "Yes, okay. Take this garbage human being off our books." And then you trade him to wherever. You give Deshaun Watson and a first-round pick to whichever team has a ton of cap space for a bag of chips. Maybe a new refrigerator if Cleveland needs one. Maybe a brisket dinner or something. You ask for at least you can't just trade something to a team. Maybe cash considerations for all I care.
Cash considerations is diabolical.
But that's how you would do it. And then you go into you go and you sign a quarterback, or you do something to get a new quarterback, even if it's have a Jameis for next year, and then see what you can do. this team right now, they need a lot of help. And I'll just turn it over to the Browns.
You know
fan.
who I feel most sorry for?
Who?
For Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, I actually. You know what? That actually
watching his press conference was so
he looks
painful.
depressed.
You know, he's having to toe the company line, going, "He's our starting quarterback. He's in there."
Yeah.
You know, every fiber in his being is going, "We got to get this piece of garbage off the field and off of our team." But he can't say that because he's a company man.
No, Haslam is probably telling him each day, you have to keep this dude as a starter.
Exactly.
Haslam isn't going to let him do that.
Yeah,
and I think
this was a Haslam move.
I
more than
think
anything else at the beginning.
Stefanski does not like Watson personally. I obviously think that because they look depressed. He looks depressed every press conference and every post game. Deshaun's our guy. We're not going to make any moves. We really like Jameis Winston, but I think we're going to keep Deshaun. It's not a question. Next question, please. That's what he sounds every press conference. And I'm pissed, and I'm not even a Browns fan. So you know what? I talked a lot. Let's let the Browns fan talk because I feel bad. I honestly feel bad.
All hope is not lost in Cleveland. It is not lost in Kevin Stefanski. It is not lost in Andrew Berry. It is not lost in Myles Garrett. It is not lost in Nick Chubb. It is not lost on anything else.
It
but
is
is lost
on Deshaun Watson.
On Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
It is lost on Deshaun Watson. It is time. We are done. The Watson experience,
It's over.
it's over. It has to be over. Unless something miraculously changes
Yeah, no.
in the next 11, 12 weeks of this NFL season. But I don't see it happening. The experience is done. It's over. As Stephen A. Smith said, he is awful. If they would arrest him right now for playing bad football, I would be all right with it. That was nuts. He said that on TV, and they were laughing about it.
It's crazy.
And do you imagine all the mental aspects of hearing something like that on TV about yourself as a player, too? Like, regardless of just the human being that he is, with everything else on top of that, with that baggage that he has, with everything he's dealt with, it's caused him to not be what he was in Houston. It's simple as that. The experiment has failed, and it's an all-time one of the worst moves in football history as we know it. You know, as a Browns fan, Baker Mayfield finally brought hope. You know, regardless of what I say about Baker and everything, he finally brought me hope. He was the guy I wanted in that draft class because he had that mentality, that kind of
that underdog mentality.
The underdog mentality. You know, regardless
Something
if
that
he's
Cleveland
arrogant
needed.
or cocky or whatever.
He backed it up.
He did back it up from time to time.
And he still is now with Tampa.
You know, and Colin Cowherd now likes Baker a little bit. You know, shout out Colin Cowherd and the Herd. Baker finally brought hope to the city, and I feel like to Baker's demise in Cleveland was that he tried to play through an injury, and also the way he was. I think a lot of people didn't gel well with Baker, like specifically the head coach and the upper, the upper reps in the organization, because sometimes the media aspect of him was just too much, and the way he would carry himself. So, but to go then after Deshaun Watson with his off-the-field baggage and the PR that you have to deal with for him being your quarterback was already enough, let alone everything else that came with Deshaun Watson and having to get him back on the field to play right. I don't think Kevin Stefanski in the system works. You know who would work in Cleveland really well with how they play football at their best? Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins would be arguably a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League if he was a Cleveland Browns quarterback. The style of play that they want to play. The run game, the play action pass, that's Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah,
the 2 tight end sets, that's what
the
Kirk Cousins...
The battle line wouldn't help, though.
The battle line this season I'm not saying would help. But they're also getting older. And I think the loss of Bill Callahan as a coach, an offensive line coach, maybe the best in the history of the NFL, I don't think people realize how much of an impact that would have been on
you can
this
see
organization.
It has changed the O-line.
And Ken Dorsey coming in, being a more pass-first offense, bringing more shotgun style, trying to cater to Deshaun Watson and what he can do well, it just simply doesn't work in Cleveland, because Cleveland does really, in the style of play and the players they have, it's smash mouth football. And the wide receivers, Amari Cooper's a great route runner, but he doesn't really get a lot of one-on-one speed. He's never really truly open. Jerry Jeudy's never truly open. Even Elijah Moore, even though he's supposed to be the speedster, he's never truly open. No wide receiver really has that breakaway speed and hands at the same time in Cleveland. It just never works. You have a guy who's a speedster in Anthony Schwartz, but he has the hands of a 3-year-old child. Or you have, then you have Jerry Jeudy, who's pretty solid, but he doesn't have enough speed to break away and be open. Cleveland right now, it might be the worst situation in the National Football League from a money aspect of the investment that they put into Deshaun Watson, and all they've gotten out of it is negative money, really, at the end of the day. I will say,
deferred a ton of money too.
I do think there's worse organizations out there the way they're ran.
Yeah.
However, I do think the organization move and one getting Deshaun Watson, I don't know how much of that was a Stefanski and Andrew Berry thing.
You think it was a Haslam
I think
thing?
it was a Haslam thing. I in hindsight, kind of saying it wasn't. It felt like they were all involved into it. I truly think that it became a Haslam thing because Haslam, I think, overstepped Stefanski and Berry because Haslam always did that. He was kind of like Jerry Jones. Oh, I'm going to get my guys, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. We've seen it in Carolina, and how's that worked out for Carolina?
Yeah.
I mean, they could be the team we trade and give, Deshaun Watson.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I honestly, try at least, because Cleveland needs to get rid of this guy, whether it's putting him on the bench, and I know it's going to really suck, sit him for 2 years. Just let him get his money, they keep deferring this money. He's going to be making like $70 million guaranteed the next 2 years after this year because they keep deferring it and pushing it off. Either trade him away with a first-round pick or cut your losses. You're going to have a top 10 pick, draft a quarterback in this year, and just try it again. Because I
think they need to.
You don't have another option.
I think they need to draft a quarterback.
You cannot start this dude. He's terrible. He looks terrible. Him and Stefanski don't gel at all. He was walking off the field on 4th down, and Stefanski wanted to go for it.
He was walking off the field because there was 12 men on the field, and they didn't have enough time for a substitution. That's what that situation is.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. Okay. But even in the press conferences, Stefanski doesn't look like he wants him. Stefanski's like he's talking like this, Deshaun's our guy. He doesn't act right. And at the end of the day, I mean, Cleveland's going to be haunted by this for a while because look what Houston did with the picks that Cleveland sent them. I mean, they've transformed the Texans into a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It is one of the worst situations in the NFL, and they still have a damn good defense. But
it'd be really funny if a Cowboys take came back to haunt me, wouldn't it?
Shadur and Dion. You guys aren't going to fire Stefanski, though.
We're not going to fire Stefanski. No.
Stefanski's not the problem. Stefanski's a good coach. He's been dealt a bad hand of cards.
Yes.
You're dealt a bad hand of cards in poker. You need to fold. You need to just say, okay, cut my losses. I'm done. And they need to do this with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's he's terrible. He's a terrible hand of cards.
If I'm Cleveland, I try and draft a quarterback this year.
Yep.
I do.
Agree.
I try and
let Jameis mentor him, not Deshaun.
Get a first, keep a first-round pick, or somehow get a first-round pick in some kind of trade, or whatever you want to do with Deshaun, or even just cut them all together and just eat that cap.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's bad, but eat it. And if I'm Cleveland, 2 guys that I think of off the top of my head, I think of Quinn Ewers in Texas. I think of Jalen Milroe in Alabama.
Yeah.
Now, you can sit here and talk about Carson Beck. You can sit here and talk about Shadur Sanders.
Shadur ain't going to Cleveland.
Shadur definitely ain't going to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Even if he was drafted by him, he'd make sure he wouldn't play in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And, there's other guys as well. Cameron Ward out of Miami. But for me, Quinn Ewers, to me, is the most NFL
You guys are going to have a top 5 pick for that.
And to me, Jalen Milroe, I think, is the most exciting and most, I don't know. He's just the most exciting quarterback to me in this draft class. It's time. It's time, Cleveland. The experience is over. Deshaun Watson will never be what he was in Houston or Clemson. It's done. Deshaun Watson, at best, now is a backup quarterback in the National Football League. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's time for Jameis Winston to get a chance. It's time for others to get a chance. And it's time to move on, time to move forward with something else. Because I feel like we had something with Baker Mayfield, and we threw it away. We threw it away because of maybe mentality issues, maybe
mismanagement too.
Mismanagement as well. shout out Jimmy Haslam. We shouldn't be worried about a new stadium. We should be worried about winning football games. And that's something that Cleveland needs to get back to. So, with that, let's move on. Let's move on, shall we? How about the Minnesota Vikings? How about the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold and company up there with Kevin O'Connell?
This won't be easy, man. This won't be easy.
Just when the Lions are finally good at
Yep,
football,
the
rest
Lions
of the division,
are, for the first time in my life, a Super Bowl contender. And, of course, they're in the best division in all of football by a mile. Of course. Yeah, Minnesota, their defense is the main story of this, I think. Their defense, they blitz a lot.
Yes.
But they are damn good at what they do. Now, their offense is good. I think their offense isn't what people are saying it is. I think Sam Darnold's playing good. Sam Darnold didn't have like a great game, to be fair, on Sunday morning against the Jets. But he did enough to make them win the game. And the Vikings defense looks like maybe the best in the NFL. I mean, Van Ginkel might be one of the most underrated signings for any defense. And I think Miami getting rid of him and him going to Minnesota, he had a pick 6 in the game against the Jets. It's underrated. And this Vikings team, give a shout out to Brian Flores. He's really done wonders with this Vikings defense, and he might be up there for a head coaching job in the next cycle because of how well they're playing. And Minnesota looks like a damn good team. You know, they are official. You know, they are at the top of the NFL right now officially. They are in the top echelon of teams, and you can't say anything otherwise. Sam Darnold looks very good. This offense, even though Aaron Jones is now going to be out for a little bit, they're still going to be good. They still got Justin Jefferson. They still got Jordan Addison. They're going to get T.J. Hawkinson back, I think, next week against the Lions. Yeah, they're going to be fine. Their offensive line, Christian Darrisaw, is one of the best tackles in football. They're going to be fine. Darnold, this was a great situation for him to go to, and he has thrived. And I think that's a testament of himself, of not like, hey, he didn't give up on himself. He kept fighting, and he kept trying to get a job because the Jets, go to the quarterback of the Jets, you're dead. Doesn't matter who you are.
Shout out Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh.
Yeah, shout out Saleh. You're out. But no, it's a feel-good story for Sam Darnold because I've always felt like he has talent. He just was never in the right situation, whether it was in Carolina or, you know, obviously New York, or when he was a backup with the Niners because of Brock Purdy last year.
Honestly, that could have been a true start of a real benefit for him being in a franchise like that. Granted,
a winning franchise, yeah.
The 49ers right now, it's not pretty.
And Niners have a really important game tonight at Seattle.
Yes, they
do. The Seahawks lost to the Giants last week. Oh, also, teams that play the Lions are 0-4 the next week. Shout out. So just thought I'd throw that little nugget of info out there.
Yeah, it's so meaningful.
But so the Niners lost to the Cardinals at home. That was a bad loss. But, you know, this is going to be a big game in the NFC West and for both teams in general. Seattle's got to get back on track. They've lost 2 games, and the Niners, you go to 2-4, man. I mean, have you looked at the Niners schedule? The next 8-9 weeks, they play the Chiefs, they play the Packers, they play the Lions at the end of the year, they play the Bears, who are looking better, they play the Bills, they still play the Seahawks again. They play the Rams, who the Rams, you know, they aren't great, but they're going to get all their guys back. The Niners have a really tough schedule, and it's going to be a fight out there in the NFC West. I think the winner of this game is going to win the West. I think that, I know it's early, but trajectory-wise, the Niners are going down. The Seahawks, while they were up, they're going down a little bit because they lost 2 straight. Mike McDonald's done a really good job as the Seahawks first-year head coach so far.
I'm a fan of Arizona, too. I think Arizona's not going to, you know, depending on Kyler Murray, see what happens after the new, Call of Duty drops here in a couple weeks here, but Arizona's also a team to keep watching out for out there in the West, too. They've not been too bad. I'm going to move it back to the AFC East real quick, and the Jets. 2-3, and they fire Robert Saleh. To me, that is a Aaron Rodgers call.
Terrible.
Aaron Rodgers told them, he can't be my coach. He called them up, like, hey, I can't operate with this guy. We need to fire him.
Did you hear that he had to be escorted?
Yes.
That Robert Saleh had to be escorted?
Nobody knew it was happening.
No.
That's why
it was out of nowhere. And
That's why I say it was an Aaron Rodgers thing, because I think Aaron Rodgers went to the front office and they're going to listen to Aaron Rodgers.
And the
He's like,
funniest-
I can't play with this guy.
The funniest part about it is he went on the Pat McAfee show. I think it was the next day. He said, "Yeah, I have no idea. I knew when everyone else knew." And he's like, I liked Robert, but we got to move on, I guess. You cannot tell me that was not a Rodgers move.
That was a
because
Rodgers move.
He did the exact same thing in Green Bay with Mike McCarthy.
Yep.
So it's Rodgers. It's his mindset. It's who he is. But that's what the Jets signed up for. So.
I think this ruined the Jets' season, personally.
Yep.
I think
No,
it did.
I do too, because I'm going to be honest. I didn't think Saleh was that bad of a head coach. He was like
It's the Jets.
Zach Wilson for he had Zach Wilson for 3 years. Last year was supposed to be
Mike
Rodgers.
White.
Yeah, Mike White too. Yeah, he was given a good defense. His defenses were good. Robert Saleh had the Jets a top 10 defense every year. And they had talent. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Quinnen Williams, CJ Mosley. They have talent on that defense. And the offense with Zach Wilson, it's not going to be good. Doesn't matter who the head coach is. You got to throw Bill Belichick, who might end up being the Jets head coach. Who knows? But he was not given a fair shot, in my opinion. I think you should have given him this entire year and then make your decision. But the fact that it only took 5 weeks, Rodgers played 5 complete games as a Jet, and they fired the head coach, who had a top 10 defense every year he was there, who was given Zach Wilson, and Wilson was terrible, who was given a bad O-line, and another reason why Wilson was terrible, and he developed guys. He developed Sauce Gardner into what he was. He helped, DJ Reed helped him out. Quinnen Williams, C.J. Mosley when they signed him. I didn't understand it because I think this is way, way too early. You are 5 weeks into the season. You have arguably one of your biggest early games coming up this Monday night against the Bills at home. You win this game, you're in first place in the East. It doesn't make any sense, but then again, the Jets are the Jets. They're one of the worst run franchises in the entire NFL.
They have the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever.
They beat the Bills.
They hire Bill Belichick as their next head coach.
That's why I said they might. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised and then Bill Belichick, with his 26-year-old girlfriend, will take the Jets to a 9-8 year, and they will miss the playoffs once again because Bill Belichick doesn't have Brady and he's done.
Shout out Ring cameras, by the way. Shout out Ring cameras.
I
when Bill
cannot
Belichick.
believe they fired Saleh, but good thing I'm not a Jets fan. So
This episode's been running a really long time.
yeah, we should probably get to the picks.
Let's get into our picks this week coming up. Brought to you by the Ball and Beats podcast, of course, underwriting our own podcast. First matchup, the Red River rivalry at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. You have the Texas Longhorns taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. Michael Hawkins Jr. now the starting quarterback out there in Norman, Oklahoma. This game, Saturday, 3:30 on ABC, probably out of soon.
I thought it was
Chris
always at
Fowler,
noon. That's the weird part.
Kirk Herbstreit. 3:30, I think it just depends.
Yeah.
To me,
Not this year. I meant like
regardless,
past years, but yeah.
it has been. It has been. For me, this game, I think Texas is the best team in the country right now until proven otherwise. Yes, Oklahoma, this is going to be a tough matchup. I think Oklahoma's going to play Texas tough. I do think, depending on what the spread is on this game, I think Oklahoma may cover it. But give me the Longhorns at home. Not at home. It's in Dallas, of course, because this game's never at home.
Technically at home.
It's
in
technically
Texas.
in Texas, but give me the Longhorns, baby. Horns up.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma, they don't look right. I know Brent Venables has done a solid job at Oklahoma, but they don't look like a good team. And I think Texas is just way too talented. Texas has way too much firepower, especially with Quinn Ewers, that entire offense. Yeah, give me Texas. Horns up. They Oklahoma doesn't look right.
Asa is not here, but he did give us picks this week, and Asa, of course, went against that and chose the Sooners of Oklahoma. And we have another picker. This week. Another man with his
Kevin.
picks. Kevin in the control room, sir. Who do you got?
All I have to say is Boomer Sooner.
Ooh, okay. Boomer
okay.
Sooner with the
I think it's
upset.
going to be a big upset. 18's going
Wow.
to take down number one, and the Buckeyes are going to slide into that number one position this week.
Ooh,
Okay, Kevin,
all right,
I see you. I think you're alluding to maybe a pick later on as well as we get into this next game here. But SEC showdown in Death Valley, the 9th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels. They're not 9 anymore, are they? They still 9. They may have jumped back up to 9.
Hey, that's what you put in the picks, man. I just type in what you guys put in.
Yeah, they were 6
Fair enough,
before
sir.
they lost to Kentucky.
Fair enough. As they go down to Death Valley to take on the LSU Tigers, the Bayou Bengals, as they like to say. This matchup, I think, might be game of the week, the way it plays out. Garrett Nussmeier is a top 10 quarterback in college football right now. I think Ole Miss
playing really well.
was overhyped coming into this season. I'm a fan of Lacey, their wide receiver. I'm a fan of this LSU team. Their defense is a little bit better. Go Tigers! Give me the upset. Not really an upset, in my opinion. LSU is going to beat Ole Miss.
LSU is one of the best offensive lines in all of college football. They have 2 top 10 picks, arguably. And, yeah, like you said, Garrett Nussmeier has been playing a lot better recently. This game is in Death Valley. It is arguably one of the – actually, it's not arguably. It is one of the hardest places to win in college football. Ole Miss is good, but I do think they're a little bit overrated. So, yeah, give me the Tigers.
Asa, of course, going against the grain and
Of
picking
course.
the Ole Miss Rebels. He's such a rebel, isn't he?
He is a rebel.
He's such a rebel. He may be from Iowa. He may be stuffed of corn, but he rebels against everybody
Lane
else.
Kiffin.
I think he husks corn more than most guys out there. Kevin, what's your pick?
I'm going for another upset this week. I'm going for the Tigers. Death Valley is going to be the death of Ole Miss.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that.
Yep.
Mr. O'Corn. Hopefully Asa doesn't get his hands on you anytime soon. As we get into the third game, we have a Big 12 showdown.
I put this game on here for Asa, and he's not even here.
I know, right? Asa said, I'm going home. Like, buddy, no one cares about Iowa. I know you're not going to Iowa. You do have a wedding. Shout out people who love each other. We appreciate that around here. Cyclones, Mountaineers in Morgantown. That is a 8 o'clock kickoff on Fox on Saturday. Iowa State has a top 5 defense in college football this season.
They've been very, very good.
And West Virginia really hasn't been that good. So the Cyclones. Today's been a great day, you know what I mean? The Cyclones are going to touch down right in Morgantown, and they're going to swirl around and destroy the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Yeah, I picked this game for Asa, so I'm going to pick Iowa State just because of Asa. So, yeah, shout out the Cyclones.
I can only imagine.
I picked for West Virginia week 1 against Penn State, and they decide to, crap themselves. So, yeah, give me the Cyclones.
I can only imagine who Asa's going to pick in this ball game.
Yeah.
Let drum
Watch him
roll,
pick
please.
West Virginia.
Oh, wow, as it's
He
the
picked
Cyclones.
West Virginia. That would have been funny.
All righty. Kevin?
Well, I guess I'm going to guarantee that Iowa State actually wins because I am going to pick West Virginia.
Oh,
Okay.
all right, the
Country
Mountaineers.
I have a hard time picking against Matt Campbell. That my Toledo roots. I would love to see him win this game, but I just think West Virginia in Morgantown, it'll be a close game. But I'm going with the Mountaineers.
It's crazy that they're ranked 11.
They are.
Iowa
It's
State.
nuts.
That's crazy.
Iowa State, they might continue to climb in the rankings.
Yep.
As we move on here to this next college game, so we have the 18th ranked, three-way tie at 18, by the way, this week. The 18th ranked Kansas State Wildcats going on the road to Prime Time and Company up in Boulder, Colorado as they take on the Buffaloes. 10:15 kickoff on ESPN. Avery Johnson, 5-star quarterback. Although I don't think he's really played all that well yet, I think he still needs some time to grow a little bit. Colorado, they're 4-2 already on the season. People can write off Colorado all they want. I think they've played really well. I think they've played better than last year already to start.
Yeah.
This game's in Boulder. I like Primetime and Company to get it done. I like Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Give me the Buffs. I think they win.
Shocker, Logan. Absolute shocker.
Yeah, I will not be picking, for the future Cleveland Browns quarterback and offensive coordinator with Deion and Shadur.
Kevin and Post, you may want to blur this
I
out.
will-
Spencer, respectfully, you.
Yeah.
Why are you going to make me edit the show, man?
I won't make you edit it. I'll do it.
No, but I can't pick for I can't pick for Colorado. I do not like the Buffaloes. So yeah, give me Kansas State. Get me the used to be the fighting Will Howards. Give me the Wildcats.
Asa. I can only imagine. Oh,
Kansas
yep.
State. Farmageddon.
Farmageddon.
They just-
Asa, he may be the biggest Colorado hater I've ever met in my entire life. Kevin, who you got, sir?
Your love fest with Prime Time and his son has just got to stop. I'm going with Kansas
My
State.
love fest. I don't
Yeah,
love him.
I was
I've
gonna-
been on
hey,
this podcast.
He's
cannot
gonna be.
go
Hey,
a
Shadir's
show
gonna be a
without-
Brown next year. It's gonna be hilarious.
You cannot go a show without heaping praise on Prime Time.
Yeah.
And Shadir, you
I don't praise him, Kevin.
he's going to the Cowboys. Oh, I think
That's
the
me
Browns
saying
should pick
that.
him.
That's not
They
me
ain't having
saying
any
like
more.
he's gonna do anything good. I'm just saying that's
No.
what's gonna happen.
You low key love him, so let's just.
I low key love him.
Yeah, you
I'm
do.
gonna bust down my AP because this is perfect timing for this next matchup.
my God.
As Toledo goes on to the road and take on Buffalo this week.
The sneaky
Noon
match.
kickoff,
This is a
ESPNU.
sneaky.
Toledo
sneaky game.
historically has not played good up at Buffalo. In Buffalo, they did go on the road and beat NIU. This one's a tough game for me to pick. I hate to do this. As a guy who calls Toledo games here, as a guy who loves the Toledo Rockets, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm picking Buffalo to upset the Rockets this weekend. I think the Bulls get it done at home.
Yeah, no, I'm not going against my college. Go Rockets. I ain't doing that. I don't care. No. Toledo.
Asa, of course, picking Toledo. Kevin?
I think Toledo's playing with a chip on their shoulder. Even though Miami is not the team that they played in the MAC championship last December, they've got something to prove. We got picked number 2 overall for the football season. I think Toledo is on a mission, and I think they're gonna clean the floor tomorrow.
That's right.
That's
right.
I think they
with the
could.
Bulls.
I think they could. Not saying they can't, but moving on to the game of the weekend.
Year.
Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Oregon, Autzen Stadium, Eugene, Oregon.
Ooh, baby. It's gonna be a
Saturday
game.
night, 7:30 on NBC. Could be game of the year. I expect these two teams to maybe play another time at least this season, maybe 2 more times, the way that they are. Ohio State has never played up at Autzen Stadium. Autzen Stadium is a field that doesn't even seat 60,000 people. A lot of people don't know
It's a
that.
small stadium.
It's a small stadium
54,000.
for Oregon. Oregon's a big brand. 54,000 seats. It's
Autzen is small.
it's a stadium that still sounds like there's over 100,000 people in it when it's packed.
Yep.
Oregon is jumping when they are good. This is a tough game to pick, but simply for the fact that it is in Eugene, and between the Big Ten teams that have traveled, almost all of them have lost going west or east.
Yep.
Either way you slice it. I don't see that changing in this game. The travel is tough. Give me the Ducks at home. I think this is going to be like a 3-point final. You're talking like a 27-24 kind
Ohio
of final.
State's favored by 3.
I think it's a perfect spread. I think Oregon covers and wins outright. Give me the Ducks.
Yeah, I picked Oregon to win the national championship at the beginning of the year.
We had a share on that
We
one.
did have a share on that one, and I picked Dylan Gabriel to win the Heisman. Oregon's been up and down. They've looked good, and then they've looked bad. This hurts me to say as an Ohio State fan. The Big Ten has not played good east of in the West Coast, east of the Mississippi, whatever you want to call it. The West of
Either
Mississippi.
way, it hasn't been
Either
good
way.
for both sides of the
The
equation.
Big Ten does not play good on the West Coast, and I will say the last time Ohio State played Oregon came into Columbus and won in 2021, I believe.
Yep.
And they were pissed. I mean, Ohio State was pissed. It was, rightfully so. This Oregon team with this Oregon crowd, Autzen Stadium is a tough place to play, even if it only seats half of what the shoe does. This is going to be an insane game, back and forth. It's going to be a tough game. I think this is going to come down to whoever runs the ball better, because Ohio State's defense, passing-wise, has been pretty good. But if Ohio State runs the ball, I think they win the game. But for some reason, I think that Will Howard is going to have a turnover at some crucial point in the game, because he hasn't been fantastic this season. He's been serviceable, but he hasn't been great. I think Will Howard's going to have a turnover at some point in this game, and it might be in the fourth quarter. I think Oregon's going to win. It pains me to say, but I got to take the Ducks in this game. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, for the sake of me picking them to win the Natty and me picking Dylan Gabriel to win the Heisman, I have a sneaky feeling Will Howard's going to do something in this game that's going to hurt the OSU. So I got to pick Oregon.
Asa Criddleball, of course,
Picked against us.
Again, of course, picks the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
As Kevin O'Korn, what do you got, sir?
Autzen Stadium, you're right. It's a great place to play. It's got a great atmosphere. But I think, again, kind of going back to what I just said with Toledo, Ohio's playing with a chip on their shoulder this year. It's Ohio State versus the world. Everyone's picking Oregon. I live in Oregon, so I always say it wrong. Oregon to win. Even though the Bucks are favored by, what'd you say, by 3?
3. Yeah, it's
not only do they
3.
cover the spread by 3, I say they win by 10 points, and I think we're going to see a Howard to Smith connection that's going to light up the world and is going to be playing on the highlight reels for the next week. OSU, baby.
I hope that'd be great.
I hope so, too.
I genuinely hope I'm wrong.
I generally hope you guys are wrong as well.
Yes.
It is tough. It really is.
It's a very tough game to pick. Because it could go either way. These are the 2 best teams in the Big Ten, and I don't think it's very much close. You can throw Penn State there, but they're not that great. But, no, I genuinely think it's going to be game of the year. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be stress-inducing. It's all the fun stuff.
The hair will be pulled out.
The nails
Blood
will be
pressure
chewed.
will be through the roof.
Yes.
Red faces everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's move on here to our NFL picks. Thursday night, tonight, this game will be done since 49ers Seahawks up at Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington on Amazon Prime. 49ers do not look good right now. They do not look good. Brock Purdy is playing pretty mediocre right now, statistically speaking. He is not the same guy without Christian McCaffrey in Seattle. I think they found a little bit of a groove. Yeah, they've lost 2 straight, but I think they are more stable right now. Give me the Seahawks to win this game tonight. I like the Seahawks a lot. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's become that wide receiver too. Kenneth Walker III is a top 5 running back right now in the National Football League, by the way.
Very good.
I just want y'all to know that. 12th man up there, it's nothing like it. Nothing like Seattle.
Trust me.
Give me the
I know.
Seahawks.
I saw the Lions get outed there in 2016 in the wild card game. They couldn't do anything there, but this is a very tough game. For both of these teams are very hard to pick right now because Seattle's lost 2. They lost to the Giants at home, which that's not great. And the 49ers do not look the same without Christian McCaffrey. But for some reason, man, this 49ers team cannot get out of my head of being an elite team. I can't say they're not good until they are dead. And to me, they're not dead. And this defense is still very good. And I know they don't have McCaffrey, but they still got Debo. They still got Ayuk, even though Ayuk's been ass. They still got Kittle, their offensive line. Yeah, no kidding. And Jordan Mason has been serviceable when he needs to be. Purdy has been great, no. But San Francisco tends to play good in Seattle, at least under Kyle Shanahan. So I'm gonna pick the Niners to win this game.
You must be picking this because of a guy. Shout out Saul.
Oh yeah, shout out Saul. You're Niners.
Shout out Saul. You're Niners, man. Asa, our lovely NFL fan, has gone the right way here, picking the Seahawks. In his love for he will come on this podcast next time and just tell you about his love for the National Football League and all the knowledge.
You can hear in the last episode about how much he loves it.
Yeah, if you want to listen to the previous episode or the previous episode or the previous episode and listen how Asa loves his National Football League. Kevin O'Korn, what you got in the control room?
I got to go along with you, Logan, and Asa. I'm picking the Seahawks.
Yes, sir.
Nothing more to say about that.
Yeah, the 49ers, they have not looked the part so far, and I think Seattle's, they just built to do it right now. This matchup, this is one, I'm so looking forward to this one here. 1 o'clock on CBS, you have Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders and the Lamar Jackson-led Baltimore Ravens at Baltimore this weekend. 2 quarterbacks, similar style of play. 2 offenses playing lights out. Terry McLaurin must be enjoying himself. He's finally got a quarterback.
It.
He's got to love this. McLaurin's finally got a competent quarterback.
That cares now.
Sometimes you just got to go.
When you lose Dan Snyder, good things happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good things happen for sure. Shout out Daniel Snyder.
Not shout.
You're an awful human.
Yeah.
How do you really feel, Logan?
This game, for me, you got to pick the team that's riding high. Both of them. are pretty good right now. But I've got to go with the rookie and Jaden Daniels. Give me the Washington Commanders to go to 5-1 on the season, and
Crazy.
everybody is going to be turning their heads. And finally, this is the real game that puts Daniels on the map.
You know, these two teams, these two quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels. I mean, it's like watching a younger Lamar Jackson with Jaden Daniels.
It's like poetry in motion.
Except Jaden Daniels is a better passer than Lamar was.
Yes,
coming
he is.
Out. But he is as quick as Lamar Jackson. Jaden Daniels is. I love watching this Washington team. Is so fun to watch, and Jaden Daniels has been really good to start out this season. But this is Baltimore. This is an actually really good defense that's not going to be out there 40-plus minutes a game. This is an offense that has a pulse. And this is a quarterback that is going to tear this Commanders defense apart. I have to go with the experienced team, and I have to go with the experienced quarterback. Give me Lamar and the Ravens at home.
Asa Crittlebaugh, Washington Commanders, sir. Yes. Yes. At least Asa in some ways knows what he's talking about. Kevin?
You're right, Spencer. The Commanders have been a lot of fun to watch this season. I being an NFC North fan, I can't pick the Ravens. I'm sorry. I got to go with the Commanders.
Man, back-to-back times I've been the lone guy.
This man, point
and
everywhere. Kevin
trust
O'Connor
me,
knows
it's
what he's
really
talking about.
hard for me to pick the same as Logan.
I was gonna say no kidding.
I was purposely gonna pick everybody else that Logan didn't pick this week, but I got to give it to the Commanders. I think they're the real deal.
I think they're the real deal too. You're a smart guy, Kevin. You know, we may give you a lot of shit, but you know, you are a smart guy at heart. Chargers, Broncos at Mile High, Sunday, 4:05 kickoff on CBS. This is another weird one to pick for me because Justin Herbert and company out there in the Chargers.
It's two teams that are like eerily similar.
If they're still going to be without Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt on the offensive line for the Chargers, I think that gives room for the Broncos to kind of tear off on Justin Herbert a little bit. And you can say whatever you want about Bo Nix. He hasn't been awful. He has not been awful. He hasn't been pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but he hasn't been awful. This game's in Denver. Give me the Broncos to win this game.
Yeah, this Broncos team, I know not a lot of people don't pay attention. Their defense has been very, very good to start out this year. Their secondary has been elite.
Now imagine Travis Hunter in this backfield with that defense.
They're not going to be that bad.
I know, but
they're not going to be that bad.
As we have some volleyball here on the Ball and Beats podcast. Shout out, Kevin.
No, but
you can tell my attention got drawn away. The Rockets are playing Central Michigan right now live, and I was able to pick up the feed from our live truck. So
fun.
I meant to put it in preview, and I put it on air. So
it's fun. Okay.
A little behind the scenes action. The director screwed that one up.
I'm gonna pick the team that I just have a hunch is gonna win. I don't know what it is, but I feel like the Chargers are gonna win this game. Jim Harbaugh's done a good job with the Chargers so far this season. They're 3-2. And I think they're going to continue to ride that high. The Broncos are fun, but Bo Nix blows.
I said he was going to be a top 3 pick in this class.
I trust Justin Herbert a lot more than I trust Bo Nix.
But Bo Nix has that age, you know what I mean? He's just been around. He's been around. He's done a lot.
Yeah, he's been around. Justin Herbert, he's almost the same age as Herbert.
Exactly.
Herbert's been in the league for a few years.
Exactly. Asa.
Hey, Asa finally agreed with me for once.
I feel like that's like the second or third time out of all these picks that's happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
Kevin, who you got, sir?
As much as it pains me to do this, I got to pick Jim Harbaugh's Chargers.
It's all right. It's all right. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it.
Pick the Broncos.
Someone had to pick the Broncos, right? Although I do actually think the Broncos do win that game. That's not even. I really do. I think that defense has played stout.
They have
played lights out. As we move on to this matchup, I'm pretty confident how this one's gonna go. So give me the Bills.
Yeah, give me the Bills. Yeah, that's Bills. Kevin. Yep. Yeah, I don't think we have much to say about this one.
The night game,
especially now with, Saleh getting fired, I think that the Jets are going to be a turmoil team, and they're going to just crash and burn like they do every year. So
Yeah. Good thing Saleh got off the jet before it could crash.
Yep.
Moving on to...
Oh, here we go. Here's a great game. The Eagles are favored by 10 now, I think.
They should be favored
Philly
by
minus
30.
10.
The Eagles are going to soar so high that the Eagles are going to take off in this game. I think Philly scores 50. Give me the Eagles in this game in a massive landslide.
How many did the Browns score?
I so badly wanted to put the Browns down for you this week. Regardless of your pick, I was going to put the Browns down.
Kevin, if you would have put the Browns, we would have fought today. We would have fought today.
Yeah, the Browns are booty cheeks. Give me Philly. It's also at Philly.
That's what comes out of those two. Asa, what's his pick?
Yes, Asa. Yes.
So once again, he's proving he knows nothing about the NFL.
Yep.
Yep. It's good. The Browns are doing it.
I think he's just doing that to irk me more than anything else.
And yeah, Eagles all the way.
Yeah.
No question.
There's nothing else to it. As we get into the final game, as it is Fox Game of the Week, sadly, we're talking about the Detroit Lions.
Oh, yeah.
On the road at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, taking on a foe that they always get screwed over by the refs and the Dallas Cowboys. And for that reason alone, give me the Cowboys at home. It's not necessarily that I don't think Detroit might be the better team. I do think Detroit's probably the better team overall. But when they play at AT&T Stadium, it never works out in their favor. And this, I'm realizing, is the third week in a row that I have picked against the Detroit Lions on this podcast. So, for that reason, I guess Dallas wins this game. But I really am picking because we know what happened last year. We know what happened pretty much the year before that. We know what happened in the playoffs a long time ago. So, give me the Cowboys in this game. For that reason alone.
Spencer picked.
Yeah, I hope you're editing this, Logan. Yeah, Brad Allen and the Dallas Cowboys. They can
come
go
on,
fuck
guys.
themselves.
I gotta edit this, man.
No, make Logan do it, and especially Brad Allen. I hate you. Go Lions, because I'm going to be at his house, and I do not want to deal with his dad giving me crap again.
What's the bet?
Do y'all have a bet?
Painful
last year. Painful.
Yep, that was, huh?
It was. He has that whole thing on video of when Goff passed the ball to Decker, and me and his cousin were like hugging and all this stuff. And we were jumping up and down, and it was great. And then it got a late flag called back, and that was all BS. Everybody knows the story. The whole thing was BS. The Lions should have lost that game. At the end of the day, it didn't matter because Dallas got killed by the Packers. I've already said it. But yeah, go Lions. Brad Allen isn't officiating this game. Oh, if he would have, that would have been bad. He would have not gotten out of there alive. Go Lions, beat the Cowboys.
Right,
Our farm boy.
Let's see who Asa picked. Farm boy Asa. Yeehaw.
What?
Yeehaw, Cowboys.
He picked against the NFC North.
I know.
That's his
shocking.
division.
It's shocking.
He loves that division more than,
He loves that.
Mountain.
I was going to say, what?
All the Cowboys fans out there, their favorite movie is Brokeback Mountain. Kevin O'Corn, what's your pick?
Oh, my God. This is the show I picked to come on.
Yes, it is, sir. You should come on every week now.
We'll think about it. Hey, this game has me thinking of Thanksgiving turkey. John Madden calling the game, stuffing the turducken. Cowboys Lions. That just seems like a classic Thanksgiving Day matchup. But,
yep.
And as much as it pains me, I watched them play my Steelers this past weekend. I got to go with the Cowboys.
It is tough to go against the Cowboys when they play Detroit at home in particular.
I can switch my pick to the Cowboys. That way we all pick Dallas.
Nope, I like this
That
idea.
would guarantee a Lions win, considering the B&B curse.
Yeah. Maybe I'll switch.
No, we won't switch it. We like the graphic the way it is right now, and that's gonna wrap up this amazing episode. Shout out Kevin O'Corn, by the way.
Shout out KOK all day.
Shout out our main man in the control room.
Love
coming
that,
on and putting his 2 cents in on this episode. It's been a wrap. I think this was a great episode. It may be a long.
Shout out AJ for audio.
Shout out AJ in the audio room.
Thank you, buddy.
This has been a good one.
It's been
This has been a good one, and we'll see you next week where we break down the NBA. NBA season will be starting up here shortly. We're going to have more people on, some more guests, some new faces you haven't seen. Keep on tuning in.
Real quick, you are editing this episode, right?
I guess you'll have to see. We'll listen.
F you, Brad Allen. F you, Dallas.
We'll see y'all next week. Take care and peace.
Kill their mics.